First off, Coach, how is Goga, and did the injury happen during?
Cause I got it. I ain't lying. Locked in, I do it just for profit. I ain't lying. Love it how I break it down just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I run the town just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I break it down just like that. I ain't lying. Love it how I run the town just like that. I ain't lying. Who said they could top me? Step in the place, I steal the show. Said they had been checking for me, ain't never seen my type before. Love to see me coming, but my haters might just shed a tear. Cause when I put that hammer down, I bet you this whole room clear. Ain't no competition, it's against just me, myself, and I. Checking in the mirror, thinking, how could one chick be so fly? I'm from another dimension.
I'm Dan Savage, preparing you for another Magic Game Day with Magic Game Day Live here on the Orlando Magic social channels. Your Orlando Magic are getting set to face the Portland Trailblazers. They're going to wrap up a 4-game road trip with a back-to-back right there in Portland. As we get a live look right now, we're seeing Desmond Bane, Banchero, etc. work out and get ready for basketball less than 24 hours from when they finished up in Golden State. And only big games out of both of them if they want to wrap up this road trip with a 2-2 record against a pesky Trailblazers team that pushed them to the brink earlier in the season at Kia Center. And if you remember correctly, that was the Desmond Bane game-winning shot, three-pointer. Paolo Banchero came, ran, and wrapped his arms around Desmond. And that really set the tone, really got the flow going for the Magic to start winning games and Desmond Bane starting to fit in with his new team. And what a better way to go into the Christmas season than with getting another win and perhaps another big Desmond Bane and Paolo Banchero game. So if you remember Magic Game Day Live, Courtside Countdown, etc., what is so essential is that we interact with you, the fans. So get your questions in on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, etc. More than happy to answer them. Start off with my boy Lewis, who said, getting some preaching from the guy Dan Savage. Love to hear it. Absolutely excited to talk Magic basketball anytime, but especially as these road trips are coming to an end. because there's such critical games where it comes down to sheer will. And that's when you really lean on guys like your veterans, like a Desmond Bane, who's really accelerated his play, playing some great basketball since that game against the Portland Trailblazers earlier in the season when he hit that game winner. And you look at him right now, scoring 19 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 4.6 assists, shooting over 45% from the field. And what you love about Desmond is that regardless of whether or not the 3-point shot's going in, he's finding a way to be effective, attacking the rack, creating for others. And I think that's a misconception of what a lot of fans and people who even cover the team thought about him when he joined Orlando. They looked at him as a 3-point specialist, a scorer who could perhaps at times go to the rim. And he's showing that regardless of how teams cover him, he can be an effective player night in and night out. And so that's what you love to see about Desmond Bane. He's really got that bulldog personality, really fits in with the Magic culture alongside guards like Jalen Suggs and Anthony Black, who bring it on both ends. A true fit, great culture guy. And that's the things you don't know about a player until he's in your locker room. Desmond Bane's been better than advertised in the Magic's locker room, really coming through as a veteran leader and the kind of presence you want a guy to be around. And you really can't put a price on that. And that's why he was worth all those picks and more. We get a Merry Christmas from Joanne Steely. Merry Christmas to all those as well. Hopefully we find another win under the Magic tree as we get ready for the Christmas holiday. That would, I think, put everybody in the holiday spirit heading into the new year. Feel free to ask your questions. A lot of them coming in right now. Rome says, quiet the haters tonight, P5. I think that's, look, when you're a star player in this league, there's going to be criticism night in and night out. If you just read the comments on social media, you would think that LeBron James is a bum who's never accomplished anything in his life, let alone that this guy's the leading scorer in NBA history and in the conversation for one of the greatest players of all time. So as Magic fans, with guys like Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Desmond Bane, all-star caliber players, you have to be ready to hear the criticism night in, night out. That doesn't mean you have to accept it, but it's going to come. That's part of the territory. And when you look at P5's numbers, it's funny the way it doesn't correlate to what people are saying, averaging over 20 points per game, averaging over 8.5 rebounds, over 4.5 assists, field goal percentage just 43.4%. That's an area that Paolo himself said he would like to improve, but we're really seeing him improve as a rebounder, as a playmaker, and finding ways to be impactful, whether or not the shot's going down. So, for P5, you have to remember it's only 6-7 games back since he missed a 10-game stretch with a groin injury. He really did everything he could to get back out on the court, and it's going to take some time for that explosiveness to come back. That's the last thing to come back after these type of injuries. So that's what P5 is working his way through right now, but we're steadily seeing him improve, and it's just going to be a matter of time whether his shot gets into rhythm and when he fully trusts the burst coming out of those legs once again. AB getting 20 points against Golden State was very impressive. Absolutely, Lewis. That's one thing we're seeing out of Anthony Black is he's been aggressive, and that's the best kind of AB. You want to see him aggressive on both ends of the floor, whether that be on the defensive side, getting handsy, getting into the basketball, or on the offensive side, attacking the rack and finishing at the rim. We're seeing some great steps from Anthony Black. Night in and night out. And I thought somebody said it best yesterday. You could put him in the conversation for all defensive team, whether that's first, second, or third, for most improved player, sixth man of the year. He fits the billing for all of those categories for the Orlando Magic. How we watching the Magic games, Dan? Tonight's on FanDuel Sports Network. As it's been, there's packages available. You can catch them out at any time on FanDuel Sports Network, along with a few over-the-air channels that'll be coming later this year. So there's a lot of ways to watch the Magic. And as we continue to take a look at Anthony Black, averaging close to 14 points per game for AD, and we see such a correlation when he usually scores over 20 the Magic usually win. I think that'll be the case tonight. A little bit of a fluke in Golden State, but I think it'll work its way out here. Almost 4 rebounds, over 4 rebounds per game, 3.3 assists, shooting 45% from the field, and he's gaining confidence in that three-point shot. We see him with those corner threes, knocking him down. And the area where I still want to see him develop, and he's starting to gain more confidence in, is his shooting off the dribble. That's an area he continues to work on. But for now, it's just being aggressive on both ends of the floor. As we continue to go through the comments, why isn't Pella being more aggressive? Do you think it's still because of recovering from injury? Shortly, yes. And I think the other side of it, too, is when you watch the tape closely and go back and you watch game after game with P5, defenses are really loading up on him right now, and they're taking away the basket. They're either forcing him to have the outside shot or blitzing him when he has the basketball and starts to put it on the floor. You'll see as soon as he puts that ball on the floor, the second, third defenders come. They're trying to get the ball out of his hands, and that's easier to do when you're missing guys like Franz, Jalen, Tristan, go down the line, Mo Wagner, etc. That's all easier to do when star-level players are off the floor. Harder to do when across the way you have a Franz Wagner who can equally attack the rack and drive. So I think right now it's a product of Paolo coming back from injury, the injuries around him, and some of the supporting cast, and him still really trying to regain his rhythm. So I think all that'll come with time in P5. And look, in the meantime, 28-6 isn't all that bad. AB gets the tickiest tack calls against him. Absolutely. You know, that's one of the things. Being a bigger guard, sometimes it's hard to defend when you're playing smaller guys because they can sell that contact, as we see him bump Sham God right on cue. With AB, you got to remember he's almost 6'9" now. That when that guy puts his hands on a smaller guard like Steph Curry, a guy like Jalen Brunson, they could really sell that contact and draw a foul call. And that's what we saw 2 of those early in Golden State. We're barely just putting his hands on him. If he's a smaller defender, those probably aren't called. But AB is going to get those because he's a big physical defender. But that's the way he has to play. Get into the basketball. They can't call all the fouls. I still want him, playing the same way defensively. Another thing that's going to be a real interesting storyline tonight, if you want something to watch, it's going to be who wins the trip to the free throw line. We're talking about fouls right now. The Magic, amongst the best teams that get into the charity stripe, lead the NBA, in that regard. The Trailblazers not far behind. They're third in the NBA in free throws attempted. So if you want to talk about a game that could really push it into the midnight hour and lead you into Christmas Eve, it's this game tonight starting at 10 p.m. on the East Coast, because both these teams can slow the game down by attacking the rack, drawing contact, and getting to the charity stripe. And for a Magic team that's been a little bit guilty of, fouling and sending teams to the charity stripe, this is going to be a good test on the second night of a back-to-back, going against a Portland team that thrives on getting to the line. Can they avoid and defend without fouling? And, it was asked to Magic head coach Jamal Mosley by OrlandoMagic.com's Josh Cohen. Shout out Josh. How do you guard against that? And Mosley's answer was simple. You got to get to your spots early. Not only be aggressive on offense, but be aggressive in the defensive end and being sure of your spot in the rotation, getting there early, and that will prevent foul calls. Buck, turnovers were a killer last night. Absolutely. The Magic beat themselves a lot of ways in Golden State and set it up for guys like Steph Curry to deliver the kill shot. They can't do that tonight. You can't foul. You can't send the Blazers to the free throw line, and you have to limit turnovers. When you look at the matchup tonight, you're going to look at teams. Look, both score similarly. Both have almost 117.5 points per game. Both, shoot around 45% from the field. The Magic have jumped up to 47% this season. Both around the exact same rebounding numbers, 45.5 rebounds. Points off turnovers are similar. Second chance points are similar. So really, the Magic are facing a Western Conference foe that plays in similar fashion. I think when the Magic are fully healthy, They have much more high-end talent than the Blazers. But conceptually, both these teams want to get to the free throw line. They want to defend hard. They're pesky. At home, they're extremely difficult to play against with a lot of aggressive defenders. So that's something the Magic are going to have to fight tonight. You don't want to play this Blazers team on the second night to back-to-back on the road at the end of a trip. So this is going to be a willpower game. This is one of those games, who wants it more going into a holiday break? And you hope that the Magic have that willpower tonight. Can we collectively have a therapy session for last night's game? Look, there are a lot of teams over the years that have lost and looked silly against a Golden State team when Steph Curry gets hot. I think the Magic are a product of that. So, write this one off and clean the palate a little bit and get ready for that Christmas dinner with a nice victory tonight. That's the best therapy you could give. Wipe that one away with a victory tonight. Don't care if as long as Hunt score 100 points, as long as we play defense. Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, you might have Jamal Mosley's burner there because that's exactly how he feels. He wants to set the tone on the defensive end because that fuels the offense. That's his bread and butter. That's what he believes is all about. Joanne, it's late for us on the east side. Tell me about it. I have the extra pot of coffee brewing, a few shots of espresso. Can't get enough fuel. And as always, give me your tips for how you stay up late for these games because I need them. Merry Christmas all from Duval. Merry Christmas to you as well. Tired from a busy day. Absolutely, everyone's doing their last-second shopping of missed work and getting food ready. I think collectively we can all agree on that. Unlikely Jellyfish, how can we have a neck and up strategy for a motivator in our team? Look, that's what it's all about. That's what Magic head coach Jamal Mosley has done such a great job of. You want to talk about a staple of a Jamal Mosley team. It's been that by committee approach, regardless who's on the floor, they find to get ways to get wins. If you need a product example of that, look at last season. The Magic at times were down Paolo Banchero, down Franz Wagner, down Galen Suggs last season, and still found their ways into the playoffs. The Magic have a metric that looks at level of player missing and adds that up into a formula over games missed, quality of player, etc. There were only 3 teams in that bucket last season: the New Orleans Pelicans, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Orlando Magic, with star players missing a significant amount of time. Those other 2 teams, high lottery teams. Magic, on the other hand, in the playoffs. So that's a tribute to Mode and guys up and down the roster being ready to play when called upon. I think this team is no different. Anyone else impressed with the way and how poised Jace is out there? Absolutely. Does not feel like a rookie. Couldn't agree more. He really brings his physicality on both ends. For a small guy, he's willing to throw his body around. I think that's what his teammates appreciate about him. What I personally appreciate about him is when he gets his opportunity, he isn't trying to do too much with it. He plays within himself, gets down the open shot, moves the basketball. That's what you love about Jace Richardson, and that's why I think he's going to have a long, successful career with the Orlando Magic. And as the season goes on, we'll be only playing more and more. Another night of saying I'll watch the first half, but end up watching all 4 quarters. Kyle, I have to watch all 4 quarters. That's my job. I'll watch all 4 quarters and then watch them again. But for the fans out there, I can't tell you enough how much the Magic players, coaches, front office, staff all appreciate that type of support. They feel it. They see it when they come back home and they hear people talking about the game. That's what gives this team life. When they know that they're playing on the second night of back-to-back for the people back in the city beautiful and Magic fans around the globe, that has such an impact on those guys. Tyus Jones, 3-point made, espresso shot. Hey, Tyus, he had a nice start in that Golden State game. If he could pick up from that, where he's really just taking the shots that are available to him, not overly being passive and trying to set up other guys, I think we might be doing a few espresso shots tonight to get ready for that. Wagner brothers, get well soon. Absolutely. Need both of those guys back. Look forward to seeing what kind of progress they've made when the team all reconvenes together at the Advent Health Training Center for practice and shoot around the day after Christmas. I think we'll get some, feeling and gauge as to where those guys are and how they're progressing. No, Caleb Houston contributed some, but feels like Penda is the first second round pick in a long time to be a real contributor yet. I think Caleb was a great worker, and you can't always value contributions just by what they do on the court. Caleb Houston really set the tone in the locker room in terms of his work ethic. First guy in, last guy out. He had that kind of approach, all business. And so collectively, he made guys around him fighting for those end of rotation spots work really hard. And that's hard to say about a second round pick and a guy not in the rotation. But you ask people in that building what they think of Caleb Houston, and you won't find anybody will say a negative word about him. Another second round pick that comes to mind is Kyle O'Quinn. Loved his approach back in the day. So they've had some over the years, but I think Noah Penda is going to be a guy, when you look at it, guys that go around the league and go, whoa, that guy was a second round pick. They really got a draft steal. I think they're going to be saying that about Noah Penda, and he could be the best Orlando Magic second round pick in a long time. Couldn't agree more. Yes, got to avoid injuries, please. This Magic team is shorthanded. If you haven't heard, Goga Bitadze also out tonight. He banged knees last night, got hit there, going for a rebound. He tried to give it a go, was questionable throughout some of the day, but unable to make it happen. Tristan Da Silva also still out, dealing with the shoulder contusion. And Jalen Suggs went from doubtful to out tonight. Hopefully, as he gets a few days off from the Christmas break, we can continue to see him make progress in his rehab process. This team needs to get healthy. In the meantime, if they could close out the road trip, go 2-2, considering the vast amount of injuries they've had, that would be absolutely, without a doubt, a huge success for this Orlando Magic team, no doubt. Penda is going to be third tonight in minutes. You never know how these games could go. End of a road trip, second night of a back-to-back. Guys that bring energy can tend to earn minutes in these games. So absolutely, he could be amongst the top Magic players in minutes and be one of those, guys that you look at it, go, he didn't start, but at the same time, he played starter level minutes. What round do you think the Magic will make in the playoffs? That's a hard question to answer right now, because so much of that depends on health and what the state of the Eastern Conference looks like at the time. If the Magic are fully healthy, they've shown there's not a team in the Eastern Conference that they can't beat. They beat the Pistons with high stakes in the Cup. They've beat the Knicks twice when they were healthy. So they stack up with anybody. And look, you look at what the Indiana Pacers did last season, working their way into the finals. There's no reason that if the Magic start playing their best brand of basketball and get healthy going into the postseason, I like their chances to make a deep run. How's the FanDuel team doing? Wondering how JT and Kendra cover the game. JT, Kendra, Dante Marcatelli all do a great job. They're out there in Portland. You could see the back of JT and Kendra's head right there on the screen right now as Tyus Jones work up. Those two are working nonstop to give you the best Magic coverage leading into the game. And as soon as this stream ends, they'll be available on FanDuel Sports Network with the pregame show, doing a great job leading into that broadcast at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Lewis wants Boston in the first round and then wants the Knicks. I like that. Wants the first win a Game 7 in Kia Center. Would love that. That's the kind of victory that gives you momentum to go deep in the playoffs. Look no further than the 2009 finals run. It was that Game 7 victory against the Celtics that made the Magic believe they could beat anybody. They go around and beat the top-seeded Cavs with LeBron James, disrupt the finals that the national media wanted to see, which was Kobe versus LeBron, ended up being Kobe versus Dwight, and got the team their first victory in the finals with a Game 3 victory or Game 4 victory, end up losing the series 4-1, but got the first final game victory in team history. So you never know what can happen if you win a Game 7 against Boston. Really impressed with the draft class so far. No doubt about it. Those two guys are studs. You could see why the Magic drafted him where they drafted him. The Magic had Jace Richardson in consideration for the 16th overall pick before they traded it as part of the Desmond Bane package. They end up getting him later, and they obviously made a deal with the Celtics to trade a number of second-round picks to get Noah Penda, and you could see already why they had both those guys in their sights. Just tremendous character guys, the way they carry themselves, and at the same time also performing on the court. So no doubt about it, what you see out of those guys is really something special. For you Magic fans, one last thing to consider as you go into tonight's game. You know this Portland team is going to be out for revenge against an Orlando squad that beat them in perhaps the most memorable Magic victory of the season so far. Desmond Bane hits that unbelievable three-pointer, kind of fading away as time expired to secure a 115-112 triumph at Kia Center. Players don't forget about that, and that spoiled the Shaedon Sharpe game where he had 31 points. Denny Avila had 27 points in that outing. So those guys are going to be remembering what the Magic did to them, and they're going to try to, get some revenge against these guys. So got to be prepared for that level of energy. And, in these final games of road trips, etc., so much of it is about willpower. And can a shorthanded Orlando Magic team with players that played a huge number of minutes last night in Golden State muster up the type of energy to come away with a victory in Portland? This is a willpower game. It's going to be, so much about it. Looking at some of the comments on TikTok, bring the Christmas jerseys back. Those were always fun. Love that time of the year. I'm a more jersey guy is better. So no doubt about it. Is Jalen playing tonight? No, he's not. Was doubtful, ruled out later in the day, but continuing to make progress with that hip injury. So hopefully we'll see him back on the court soon. The triple Bs being Banchero and Black, go Magic. Absolutely need big games from all those guys. If all those guys score 20 plus and this team plays good defense, I think the Magic come away with a victory tonight. Wearing my Magic hat, love it. Fan for life since 1989. You could see that. I see the passion and the knowledge there. Still think about the Courtney Lee missed layup in the finals. Absolutely. And if you watch it closely, I would argue that Pau Gasol goaltended on that play and got his hand up through the net. And, it wasn't all on Courtney Lee. I think they missed a little bit of a goaltend on that one. But that's just me. Ride or die with this team. Love it. No doubt about it. Well, Magic fans, I just want to go ahead and wish you a happy holiday beforehand. It's been great spending this entire road trip with you. The Magic are going to come home after this with a back-to-back at home, going up against the Hornets and then the Denver Nuggets before entering on another road trip. So we'll be back with Courtside Countdown Live with Kendra Douglas hosting. I'll be alongside her at Kia Center. So you're going to want to make sure to join us on Friday this week as well as Saturday. Both of those games take place at 7 p.m., which means we'll have Courtside Countdown live for you at 6 p.m. Eastern time. But for tonight, as soon as this stream ends, which is right about now, tune into FanDuel Sports Network for the pregame show at 9:30, then the game at 10 as your Orlando Magic go up against the Portland Trailblazers, try to even up this 4-game road trip at 2-2 before coming home with an extra victory under the Christmas tree. And once again, I'm Dan Savage. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Why you all up in my face? What's the deal? Run the city just for fun, cause you know I keep it real. Get a piece